the spotlight with champion show jumper Nicole Horwood and 4-time Derby winner. Nicole, how did you start riding, and what were your hopes and dreams when you did start? Did you ever think you could achieve something of this magnitude?
So I started riding when I was 5 years old. My dad bought a racehorse off the track, and we stabled it at the Kings Park Stadium in Durban, or riding club. So that's where my riding career began.
You got a racehorse off the track at 5.
Well, he did ride it, he did work it, but that's basically where I started riding. And then I went on to do pony club stuff. So as a junior, I never really rode competitions, like competitively. I did lots of pony club championships and apple bobbing and things like that.
Did you like around the world and bending? And
all those kind of things. So yeah, those skills I acquired as a kid. But we couldn't really afford to compete, so it was just more like riding at home. We then moved to Hillcrest, and we had a little hectare plot there, and we had a little pony club called the Crest Home Pony Club, and that's kind of where I started jumping over like makeshift barrels and little jumps. We didn't even have proper facilities there. And yeah, so then it's when I matriculated, I came to Joburg and I started riding for Gonda, and that's kind of where my career began.
Was Gonda your first coach, or did you have coaches before Gonda?
I had pony club coaches, but nothing. She was my first proper coach. So.
And you're still with her?
Yeah, 22 years later.
See, that's why you're a 4-time Derby winner.
No, she's definitely shaped me into the rider I am today. You know, her work ethic and everything about her. Obviously, I worked for her for about 5 or 6 years. So
in what capacity?
As a work rider. So I was up 6 o'clock every morning, even in winter, trotting her horses around the track, just exercising them. And from there I started riding for other people, and that's kind of where my show jumping career began.
And is that how you got involved with Capital? Because you ride all the capital. Not only do you ride the top horses, but you bring the youngsters on.
Yeah.
And is that where Don Camarco and your other top horses have come from, as babies?
Yes, absolutely. So it's actually quite a funny story. I was very intimidated by Henning, but so I got Gonda to approach him. I was, you know, he was this big, tall, strong farmer, and he was very intimidating. I knew he had lots of nice horses, so I didn't have the courage to ask him for the ride, so Gonda did it for me. And that's where our relationship...
Nobody says no to Gonda.
No, no one says no to Gonda. So that's where it all began, with Capital Capriccio, and that was over a decade ago. And yeah, it's been an amazing journey.
So when you go into the show ring, or you enter the arena, do you have a motivational quote that you think about? Are you just primed to go? What is your mindset when you enter that arena?
So I think, you know, it's a big mental game. I think you have to, if you believe it, you can achieve it. I think you need to be completely focused on the job at hand. I like to focus on myself and no one else when I'm warming up. I like to visualize. I'm a big person on visualization. So if I walk a track, I like to visualize it while I'm warming up.
Do you visualize yourself jumping around it?
Yeah, absolutely. And literally riding the track in my mind. I like to warm the horses up, just give them a relaxed warm-up. To put them in the right mindset. I don't jump them higher than 130, 135. You know, I need to go into the arena knowing that they're confident, I'm confident.
So before a 150 class, you won't, in the warm-up arena, you won't jump?
Look, I might go up to a 140, but I don't jump 150. So I like to keep their confidence outside, so that when they go in, you know, they perform at their best. Even at home, I don't jump big. Maybe in a lesson or two, once a month. But yeah, it's just to give the horses confidence, and just the visualization. I have a plan and I stick to the plan. That's very important. Try not, you know, if you make a mistake, also you've got to adapt the plan, but at the same time, you've got to go in knowing what you want to achieve.
And for aspiring riders, what's the best advice that you can give?
Hard work, you know, there's no shortcuts to success. You ask any successful person if their journey's been easy, and most of them know it's hard work. You know, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. There's a lot of other people out there that may be more talented than you, but there's no excuse for you not to work harder, you know. and I believe in consistency. So if you work hard, you'll be consistent, and I think that's been the secret to my success.
When you're schooling the young horses and you're bringing them on, do you have an idea about what they're going to be, or who they're going to be as personality starts coming out? But do you know that, wow, this could be a Derby horse, or this is going to be a World Cup horse, or 6-bar? Do you work that out as it goes along, or they're all very similar up until they start competing?
I know they're all very different. So, I mean, like Colnado, for instance, I knew from the first time I sat on him, he was a machine. He was just different, you know. But you can gauge a horse from a youngster. You never know what their true talent is until you actually put them and test them in the 150s. I mean, there's some horses that I haven't believed that could jump 150 that go on to be successful, and vice versa. So I think every horse is unique, and you have to approach them from an individual platform and understand them. And if you can work with them, you can get the best out of them, understanding them individually. And that's what I've learned with the young horses.
So the achievements are fantastic. Everyone loves to succeed. Everyone loves to do well. And boy, have you done well. What have you learnt from things that maybe haven't gone so well, to faults or failures, or have you learnt more through those or more through the successes?
No. I truly believe you learn more through your failures than your successes. And as I said before, it is a big mental game, and you have to learn to embrace the mistakes and move on from them. I've made mistakes, and most top riders do make mistakes. We just don't get to see them that often. But we all make mistakes, and I think that's where I've learned the most, you know, is by those failures.
A lot of riders watch themselves on video to see how they're doing, see how they're progressing. Is that one of the things that you do as a training tool?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I jump at home, I'm always videoing myself, and that night I go through all my videos, and it's nice to see, because you can only feel and you can only think what you may be doing wrong, but to actually see it makes a big difference. Gonda flies up once a month, twice a month, pre-COVID. So I have lessons with her, but my biggest learning tool is videoing myself and watching myself.
So you have your show jumping lessons. Do you have dressage lessons as well, or is it just concentrating on flat work?
No, I don't have
advanced
dressage.
Flat work.
Show jumping dressage.
What is show jumping dressage?
Yeah, so I think Gonda taught me the basics from the very beginning, and she was very big into her flat work. So we used to do 20 minutes of flat work before we even started jumping. And that ingrained in me a good show jumping dressage, so ethic.
Does that involve a lot of lateral work?
Yeah, a lot of lateral work.
Collection,
yes,
extension?
collection, extension. Yeah, those are your basics, you know, not advanced dressage. So, you know, all the tools you would need in the show jumping ring. So your collection, your extension, your half holds, and your lateral work to keep them supple. So I think my grounding and my base has been pretty strong from that.
Who is your favourite top rider and why?
Okay, so I have to say Marcus Enning. So I just think he's amazing. And he's small like me, so identify. But I just think he's an absolute master. He just has he's got almost like a low center of gravity. He always looks like he's one with the horse. I've never seen him make a mistake. I love watching him. If from a woman perspective, a female perspective, has to be Busy Madden. I think she's unbelievable. I think she's got such a cool head. She's so competitive, and you know, she's been around for years.
Do you think women ride differently to men?
I think so. I think they do. I think women are a bit more compassionate than men. But you know what? It's the one sport where we actually all get to compete on an equal grounding, whether you're male or female. So, yeah, I do think we do ride a little bit differently. Maybe that's why the men are at the top and the women aren't in the, you know.
Excuse
top.
me, who am I talking to here?
No, I'm talking overseas now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
On an international platform, yeah.
So your horses, who are you riding at the moment?
So I have a lot of nice youngsters. So I've got a horse called Capital Impossible. He's a Verdi stallion. I've just got him. He's jumping 90 centimeters. Capital Clarissimo, so he's jumping now 120 going 130. Capital Night Star, who belongs to Natalie and Ross Robertson, he's jumping 120 going 130. Capital Cronus, he's jumping 150. Capital Hitoshi 150. Capital Don Camarco 150. Recently also acquired Capital Chantilly, so I haven't taken her to a show yet. I'm still getting to know her. And then I'm getting Capital Figaro.
Are there any aspects of the South African equine industry that you would like to change or see changed?
So I think unfortunately it's become a very expensive sport. I also wish that the sport had more coverage, had more media coverage, and was out there more so we could attract bigger sponsors, which would enable people to really take riding seriously, you know, the sport to a different level here. Unfortunately, our prize money is not big enough for most people to sustain themselves. I think we have a lot of talent in South Africa, and due to financial constraints, people don't develop those talents. So that is the one thing I do wish we could change in South Africa from a sporting perspective. I wish I could ride all day, but I can't. You know, I also have to make a living. It's my passion and I love it, but at the same time, you know, financially, it's got to be viable. So yeah, I wish we could like attract the Rolexes and the Longines and all that. So maybe that's something to aspire to for our sport.
I feel slightly silly saying this because fitness is a really crucial part of riding, and most people don't have 8 horses to ride, so they will do a lot of gym and they will work on core strength and they'll work on. So is your riding enough, or do you do other things to keep yourself fit so that you can have the optimal experience when you are competing?
I don't do any other form of exercise. I do feel that I'm riding fit, and I think that's what's important. I think that I've developed my inner core from doing the dressage flat work that I do, so I don't feel the need to go and run 5Ks at the end of the day like some riders do. And I admire that. It's also a time thing, you know, but I do feel that I'm fit enough to sustain myself at big level competition.
So what have been the highlights? What is the greatest thing that has happened during your show jumping career?
It has to be Derby. It's the Derby wins for me, you know, as a child. That's all I ever dreamt of. Was I used to watch Gonda and Barry and Annalie and aspire to be like them, and the Derby was always the biggest event of the year. So it's the first Derby for me was just amazing.
What did that feel like?
Oh, I can't remember much because I was in shock. But you know, when I went into the arena, I just wanted to get through the finish. You know, that's all I wanted to do. I didn't even expect to kind of jump a clear round. I was just, you know, it was my first time. It was Don Camarco's first time. And I don't remember much of the round. I was so focused on what I was doing. And so I think I was as white as a sheet when I came out. But it definitely has to be that first Derby win.
Okay, so you've just gone clear in Derby. What on earth? Okay, so you're having trouble remembering this. But what did that feel like?
It was pure elation. I mean, I think my interview was shocking because I couldn't even speak. I was speechless, you know. It was amazing. I felt like all that hard work, you know, had eventually paid off, and I was just so grateful for the horses, Henning, Capital Stud, for helping me achieve my childhood dreams, you know. So, yeah.
As you pointed out, riding is a very expensive sport, and you have a lot of sponsors to help you, which is a fantastic thing. Can you tell us who they are?
So I have an amazing team behind me, from Capital Stud, who've given me the horsepower. I mean, you can be the most talented rider in the world, but if you don't have the horsepower, you're not going to be successful. So that journey for me has just been amazing with them. Henning's been very generous, and they keep coming. They don't stop. And then Mark Whitenisson, he's been on board for about 5 years. He's been an incredible support to me as well as the sport. He's been amazing. Then there's Gonda, obviously my teacher, so that's been over 20 years. There's Natalie and Ross Robertson. They've bought me a horse off the Capital auction. Then there's Linda, our manager. She's been amazing. The grooms, there's Western Shop who dress me beautifully. So without them, I also wouldn't be here today. So I'm extremely grateful.
So you've mentioned your greatest highlight. What has been your greatest whoopsie in riding or competition?
So I've had many, but the one that sticks out was SA Champs in Natal. We walked the track, Gonda and myself and the other riders, and she walked, there was an upright, and the flow seemed to go to the right and not to the left, but the next jump was on the left, and I walked to the right, and Gonda shouted at me, "Nicole, you're going the wrong way." So I walked the course, finished, and sure as nuts, when I jumped that jump, I turned right and not left, so I had to circle. So I threw that one away. So that has to be, yeah, one of my pearlers.
Any spectacular falls worth mentioning?
No, I've had a few.
Yeah.
I've had a few. Derby, I think 2 years ago, I had a whoopsie. I still have the scar to prove it. But yeah.
No. So for those of us that aren't sponsored with horses and have got to go and find a young horse, what would you look for in a top show jumper?
So for me, there's a couple of things. Rideability, that's a big thing for me. Scope, agility.
How do you tell scope in a young horse?
So it can be difficult, but I think you can kind of gauge, especially by the quality of canter of a horse.
Now, what does that mean exactly?
That the horse engages, has enough step.
Rides uphill rather than downhill?
Yeah, absolutely. So when they land, they don't land in a heap. They land up. They've got a good sense of balance, and you get a feel as soon as you get on a horse. I mean, I've been lucky enough to ride so many horses through Capital Stud. I can immediately feel when I sit on a horse that there's quality there, and I think when the jumps get so big, that's exactly what you need, is the rideability. So that for me is a biggie.
Nicole, thank you for joining us in the spotlight. It's been amazing chatting with you at this level. It's always lovely to hang out with you, but doing this interview has been great. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
If you are wondering, if you're hearing a slight noise in the background, it's because we went into load shedding partway through this interview. Of course we did. Thank you for joining us.